What's up, YouTube? Check this out, man. Big ticket, man. Shout out, baby. Big ticket. Hey, this is the last and final. My man putting down some good 411, man. So this is an hour long right here. This is part 3. Cause Diddy, dude, here's the thing that tripped me out, man. You got 120 cases of people lying, saying Diddy did this and y'all know he didn't do it, right? Then you got 5 more cases. Now they done filed more cases of people lying on Diddy. Hell, these people lying on Diddy, but the court system wouldn't let them out because all these people lying on him. Think about that. So you telling me Cassie lied on him? The videotape of what he did to Cassie, that's AI? Maybe that was AI. I'm trying to find more excuses for this man. You know, Diddy was doing some spiking people drinks. The people that was in making of the band is now coming out saying stuff. Oh, nah, they lying too. It's a lot of lies on this. Who's telling the truth? Where the truth? How can you tell if a person is telling the truth or not? Where them people at? God, that I know who telling the truth. I know that judge telling the truth that Diddy ain't getting out no time soon. Good gracious, man. Anyway, hey, y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Let's check it out.
I got a bad feeling, bro. I got a bad feeling they're going to be in court naming all these celebrity names, and everybody's going to be like, damn. I'm telling you, bro, it's going to be the whole world going to be watching this shit. The countdown is on. And when they start naming them celebrity names, watch. They're going to tear their ass to shreds on social media and online and on all of the radio shows, all the talk shows. I'm telling y'all this. They're going to bring these people up. And you just got to hope to God that a lot of these people didn't get involved in the stuff that Diddy was allegedly involved in. You got to just hope and pray, man. You know what I'm saying? Because if somebody put your name in it, you know, the feds can just come swoop you up. See, some niggas don't even know they're involved. In my opinion, feds can come swoop you up at the last second. Come get you in but a lot of them, I believe they've already been charged. I believe a lot of them cats was already charged and you know, basically allowed to become witnesses because they were under Diddy. So I believe you'll hear, my opinion is, I believe you'll hear about a lot of these people that have been able to get probation, reduced sentences, community service. What do I mean? You know, 5-6 years probation, 10,000 hours of community service. Some of them may do 2 or 3 years or something like that. You know what I'm saying? That's how I think it's going to happen. I don't think you're going to see, the only ones you're going to see do the whole meal is the ones who stand tall and don't snitch. But I just truly believe that, you know, it's going to be a lot of people that you know, save their own ass. Like, man, she ain't doing no 25, 30 for you, bro. Nah, might as well go ahead and tell them what they already know. So, because Diddy's lawyers were saying that witnesses was the ones, and you got to go read the paperwork. Diddy lawyer, Mark Anglifo, said that witnesses were the ones who testified and got the judge to sign that warrant for them to raid Diddy's homes. And Mark Anglifo is saying that right there. As a matter of fact, I know y'all think, oh, well, Ticket, how you find all this stuff out, nigga? Because my ear is to the streets, nigga, and I read all this paperwork, nigga. I study to show myself approved. You know what I mean? I've done that. Straight up. I've done that. I've done that.
Oh, man. What's up?
Right?
Yeah. He trying to check some stuff out. What's up? Shit. I do this every time. I keep forgetting to put it on this side.
So, right now. I'm gonna put it right here in front of all y'all. Let's do it right now, so y'all can see what he said, because this was very important, and I think everybody should at least how should I say it? I think everybody should at least hear this, what happened. So let's play this right here, right? Let's get to this. I want everybody to hear what's going on, so y'all know what's up. Let's get to it, right?
Whether they were able to corroborate the claims, what the defense is asking for right now is to make sure a future jury doesn't see a lot of evidence that it says the government gathered through improper search warrants. And we are hearing all kinds of new bits of information, including who was interviewed, whether they were able to corroborate.
Now, what he's saying is, and I'm not going to stop this the whole time, I want y'all to hear this, but what he's saying is that Diddy's lawyers, right? Diddy's lawyers are basically trying to get all the evidence thrown out. They're saying there's so much evidence. Watch, I told you guys, I read the whole paperwork myself, but I know that did a video on this, so Law and Crime, so I'll let y'all hear what they said, because they read it right from the file.
We have some big updates for you in the racketeering and sex trafficking case against Sean Diddy Combs. His attorneys are fighting to get a huge amount of evidence suppressed, meaning a jury in his upcoming federal trial would never see it. And in their papers, they reveal a lot more details about the prosecution's case and who the government may have been speaking to. I'm going to break down the filing and what it does and doesn't reveal. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. High-powered defense attorneys for Sean Diddy Combs are fighting back against the federal government, and in a major way. Actually, so major that if they are successful, this whole case, this whole criminal prosecution could be upended. And that is crazy to think about, considering this trial is right around the corner, May 5th, 2025. But to be more specific, what the defense is asking for right now is to make sure a future jury doesn't see a lot of evidence that it says the government gathered through improper search warrants. And we are hearing all kinds of new bits of information, including who was interviewed, whether they were able to corroborate the claims the government is making. This is a big deal. Now, as you know, Sean Combs behind bars in New York, facing charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking through force, fraud, or coercion, transportation to engage in prostitution, currently locked up at the Metropolitan Detention Center until his trial in May. And we first learned that Combs was likely under investigation when agents with the Department of Homeland Security raided two of his houses, one in Los Angeles, the other in Miami. This was back in March of 2024. They brought out boxes and boxes of potential evidence. At the time, Combs hadn't been arrested or charged yet, but just a few months before that, in November of 2023, Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, filed an explosive lawsuit claiming Combs abused her mentally, physically, sexually during their tumultuous 10-year relationship. Combs ended up settling that lawsuit just one day after it was filed for an unknown sum of money, but the damage was already done. Ventura's allegations, they were out there in the public. A wave of other civil lawsuits followed. And then in September of 2024, Combs was officially arrested at the Park Hyatt Hotel in New York City. His lawyer said he'd come to New York to turn himself in, but the police arrested him a day early. And according to authorities, Combs, reportedly being under investigation for criminal behavior, hadn't stopped him from allegedly having drugs in his hotel room. And as I said, Combs has been locked up. He's been denied bond ever since. Combs offered up a huge bail package worth millions of dollars, but the government argued there was evidence that Combs was trying to influence, maybe intimidate witnesses, even from behind bars, and having him on house arrest, even with private security, it would be a risk. Hey, so I want to quickly thank Upside for sponsoring this episode of Sidebar as we continue our coverage of Combs. Now, Upside is great. It is a free app that gets you cash back on daily essentials like gas. It's money that appears in your Upside app that you transfer right into your bank account. But make sure to use our promo code Sidebar because you get an extra 20 to indict him. We're way too broad, and that some of the information investigators found actually argued that multiple search warrants used to find potential evidence against him and used to indict him were way too broad, and that some of the information investigators found actually goes against their case, that these search warrants were invalid, okay? And over the weekend, new filings from the defense, they were added to Combs' federal docket. A notice to suppress evidence obtained through search warrants, a memorandum of law to support suppressing certain evidence, and a declaration from one of Combs' attorneys, 𝗟𝗜𝗡𝗞𝗦, have all been filed, okay? And that's what we're gonna dig into now. What are the arguments here? Because this could have major implications. So what the defense is looking for, according to their notice, is, quote, an order suppressing the evidence and all fruits obtained from the following search warrants. Again, meaning it wouldn't come into evidence. A jury wouldn't see it. The prosecution couldn't use this evidence. A, the January 4th, 2024 warrant to search Mr. Combs' iCloud accounts. B, the March 22nd, 2024 warrant to search his Los Angeles residence and to seize evidence obtained therein. C, the March 22nd, 2024 warrant to search his Miami residence and to seize evidence obtained therein. D, the March 25th, 2024 warrant to search his person and to seize and search 2 of his cellular phones referred to by the government as Combs number 1 and Combs number 2 and to extract information from those phones. E, the September 16th, 2024 warrant to search his person and to seize and search an additional 2 of his cellular phones referred to by the government as Combs number 3 and Combs number 4 and to extract information from those phones. And F, the September 16th, 2024 warrant to search Combs' room at the Park Hyatt Hotel and to seize evidence obtained therein, or in the alternative, granting a Franks hearing. So that is a lot of search warrants covering a lot of ground, covering a lot of potential evidence. And if the search warrants were improperly served, or they are considered to be too broad or heavy-handed, or they contain false information or misleading information, the argument would be that anything that came from them would be fruit of the poisonous tree, and the prosecution couldn't use it at trial. If that's the case, what would the government have left to support their case other than maybe just witness testimony? That's a question that the defense would love to hear, right? What's left of the government's case? Now, aside from just an automatic suppression of the evidence, one of the other things that the defense is asking for is at least a Franks hearing. Now, that is a specific type of hearing where a defendant can challenge the validity of search warrants. In fact, as cited in this filing, under Franks v. Delaware, if a statement of probable cause contains material false or misleading statements or omissions, then the warrant is invalid and any evidence obtained pursuant to the warrant must be suppressed. So the defense is saying that the prosecution was disingenuous. And while we do get a few clues as to what evidence or testimony the prosecution might have, fair warning here, a lot of the information in the defense's filing is redacted out. It is completely blacked out. We can't see it. It is unavailable to the public. But we're kind of reading between the lines here. So the notice of motion to suppress reads, the government has a duty of candor when it seeks warrants. The nature of the proceeding mandates secrecy, so the process is not adversarial. Precisely for that reason, investigators have an obligation to present a fair picture of the evidence, including both inculpatory and exculpatory facts. Exculpatory evidence is basically evidence that is favorable to the defense. The government in this case utterly failed to do so. It sought several warrants to search Mr. Combs' residences, his electronic devices, and his person, and it presented a grossly distorted picture of the facts. It included only inculpatory facts, and it excluded critical exculpatory evidence that was indisputably in its possession at the time. Broad, on a theory that Mr. Combs' entire life was a criminal enterprise, the government sought virtually all limitless authority to seize any evidence related to that enterprise, all his digital devices and the information they contained, all information in his iCloud accounts, plus troves of records and items in his houses, almost none of which was contraband. By the way, interesting they say almost none of which was contraband. Does that indicate that there was some stuff found that could be considered to be contraband? They go on to say that perhaps the thing that's most troubling is the government received essentially limitless authority to search Mr. Combs' digital devices, which contained a vast trove of personal information. The Supreme Court and Second Circuit have repeatedly warned that it is essentially important that digital device searches must be limited and particularized. The warrants here were not. The warrants were thus unconstitutional general warrants, and the evidence obtained through those warrants must be suppressed. So from there, the defense then provides a timeline of when the warrants were served. It says on January 4th, 2024, so this is before the raids on Combs' homes, and obviously months and months before he was ultimately arrested, the government requested a warrant to obtain all the information on Sean Combs' iCloud accounts, according to his attorneys. And then the warrants were served on his 2 homes in March of 2024, followed by an additional search warrant for Combs' person and 2 of his cell phones. I mentioned before there's a lot of redaction in this filing, so we don't know exactly what the government found or what witnesses told them, but the defense is making 2 main arguments. One, the government's warrant applications contained intentionally or recklessly deceptive statements and omissions, and the warrants were unconstitutionally broad. Both arguments, the warrants are invalid. So let's begin with the first argument that the warrant applications had deceptive statements or omissions. The filing states, the duty to include critical exculpatory evidence, again, meaning evidence that's favorable to a defendant, tends to show that they didn't commit the crime, includes a duty to reveal information that undermines the credibility of a confidential informant or other witness. When the government relies on witness statements rather than an investigator's own observations, their credibility is plainly relevant, even critical to the probable cause determination. The government...
Let me stop. That's why I told y'all that Diddy and them are saying, his lawyers are saying that they had all witnesses. All witnesses. You understand what I'm saying? All witnesses. You feel me? That's what they're saying. Testified in this case. All witnesses.
When he see them witnesses
Think
come
about
up,
what I said to y'all.
he gonna be like, "You mother."
So they're saying, you understand what I'm saying?
You spiked my drink and recorded me
people
doing this stuff
to the feds, and that's why the search warrants happen.
Made false statements and omitted critical exculpatory evidence in its warrants applications in this case.
Now, that's what they're saying, right? And I want everybody to think about this now. So Diddy's lawyers are claiming that their case, they got the search warrants because of people's words, and that they're saying people weren't credible. They gave them information
Sought
that
the
led to the
warrant.
search.
The omissions were intentional, or at the very least, reckless. So, for example, the defense indicates that exculpatory evidence that the government had in its possession was proof that sexual activity here was consensual. But again, they argue that this was hidden in the warrant applications. They go on to say, quote, the core allegation in the warrant applications, and indeed the government's entire case, is that Combs forced victim.
Now, you know, I'm just telling y'all what it is. Telling y'all what it is. Let's keep going.
One to participate in FOs. Okay, so victim one has never been officially identified, but based on context clues and various filings so far in this case, we believe victim one is Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura. FO, by the way, stands for freak off or freak offs, which is apparently what Combs called group sex sessions that were sometimes filmed, allegedly involved large amounts of things like baby oil, drugs, according to prosecutors. And in a recent filing, Combs' attorneys seemed to suggest that, yeah, he did hire male escorts to participate in group sex, but that everything was on the up and up, everything was consensual. Although I will say in a superseding indictment, the prosecution amended their claims a little bit, acknowledging that Combs could have committed crimes like sex trafficking in events that were not necessarily considered or fit the definition of freak-offs, but they were more generalized commercial sex acts where something of value was promised or exchanged, or there were commercial sex workers. But going back to the filing, it reads, quote, when it sought the warrants to search Mr. Combs' residences, the government had already obtained one device from victim one that contained, and then there's a huge, large section that's blacked out, but that is so important. So if you take everything is true from this filing and based on prior history in this case, a fair argument could be that victim one is what started this whole prosecution against Sean Combs. Victim one allegedly turning over material and speaking with authorities. It has been reported in prior filings that victim one perhaps had sex tapes that she turned over to the government. So that could be what they're talking about here. And the defense claims that victim one had a huge financial incentive to make Combs look bad so that she could get a massive settlement. But that information, according to the defense, wasn't included as part of the search warrant application, which they say hides significant context surrounding her claims. The filing continues. By the time it obtained the warrants to search Mr. Combs' residences, the government had also already obtained redacted. Once again, these redacted contradict the government's claims that the FOs were coerced. One of the claims made about these so-called FOs or freak-offs is that Combs used drugs to keep those involved in the sexual performances compliant. There were even claims that following these intense sex sessions, Combs and others would sometimes require an IV drip to help them recover from exhaustion as well as drugs that they'd taken. But Combs' defense team makes the argument that there was, quote, important evidence that wasn't revealed that shows the context of Combs' relationship with victim one. And, quote, they are the kind of thing that any magistrate judge would wish to know when reviewing a warrant application in a sex trafficking case. Yet the warrant applications contain not even a hint of them. They didn't even inform the magistrate judge that this evidence existed. And then the defense argues that this was, quote, intentionally misleading. So, for example, according to the defense, quote, the government hid evidence that Combs at times discouraged redacted from using so many drugs. So that seems to suggest that Combs had tried to stop someone, maybe victim one, from using drugs so heavily, but that it was this person's own decision to do so. By the way, even if this motion isn't successful, you are getting a preview of what to expect from Sean Combs.
Man, that's a fact. What he's saying, bro, this ain't nothing but a preview right here, what y'all gonna see in court. And it's going to be deep in a lot of testimony. Deep in a lot of testimony.
She wanted more drugs. Well, she was hooked on the drugs. That's what drug addicts do.
I'm just telling y'all what's up, man.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Telling y'all what's up, man. Bro, this shit going all the way. It's going all the way. In court. It's going all the way. You know?
That's crazy, man. Golly.
You know? Telling y'all what's up, man. Y'all finna see.
Potential defenses at trial, right? We're kind of getting a preview of that. But the filing continues, quote, finally, the warrant applications contain no mention of victim one's financial motive to exaggerate and falsify. As the government knew, and then you have a huge amount of redactions there, and then it ends, thus provided an unusually strong motive to fabricate years after the underlying events. Then you have another redacted line, and the memo continues. Years after her relationship, she changed her story in a way that would cause maximum potential damage to Combs and thus give him maximum incentive to agree to a large payment. This is exactly the sort of evidence that goes directly to the credibility of the witness, whose story provided the core of the government's applications. And the defense claims that the prosecution's alleged lies and other omissions pertain to other government witnesses as well. Which, by the way, is huge because we are literally in the dark for the most part about who authorities spoke to as part of this criminal case or who may be called as a witness at trial. So much is redacted or filed under seal. But here, the defense claims that the government has refused to provide them with the names of people who are anonymous in the warrants. But we are getting a lot more information because according to the filing, the government relied on information from sex worker one. But sex worker one has also given the government exculpatory information, none of which was included in the warrant applications. And then there's a mention of Assistant 1. So Assistant 1's claims are also called into question by the defense. The defense claiming that the government cherry-picked some of this person's statements out of context to use in their warrant applications. And then there is some bombshell news about someone referred to as Producer 1. Now, we believe, we can't confirm it, but we believe there's an argument that Producer 1 is Rodney Lil Rod Jones, a music producer who filed a lawsuit against Sean Combs in early 2024. He claimed that not only was he not paid for the work that he did on the Love album, but that Combs used his influence to intimidate him into doing things like hiring sex workers. And Jones also alleges in his lawsuit that he was present for multiple episodes of abuse and violence that Combs allegedly inflicted on others. He even claims that Combs forced himself on him, groping him, insisting that Jones be present when he was naked or showering. But the motion to suppress states, quote, some of the most salacious allegations recounted in the warrant application came from Producer 1, who the government now says it will not even call to testify at trial. The investigator indicated he had interviewed Producer 1, and Producer 1 had relayed stories about his time working for Combs. Now, the exact details of what Producer 1 told this investigator is redacted, but the defense goes on to say these accusations were never credible. They were uncorroborated, redacted, and the government had boatloads of contrary evidence, including redacted. The government eventually dropped these allegations in later warrants, but their lack of credibility was manifest from the outset. And the defense claims that Producer 1 had financial incentive to lie or embellish, which could be evidenced by Jones' lawsuit if he is indeed Producer 1. And according to the defense, the prosecution revealed it doesn't even plan to have this person take the stand anymore. According to the filing, the government has advised us it will not call Producer 1 as a witness at Combs' trial. Presumably that is because his stories are fantastical and he lacks any credibility, but his lack of credibility was equally apparent in March 2024, meaning when the raids happened on Combs' properties. Now, Jones filed, by the way, his original complaint in February of 2024 and amended it the next month, so that time frame is very interesting considering what's being talked about here. But the defense claims the investigator simply relayed Producer 1's claims without qualification as if he were a credible witness. Now, Combs...
So they saying that Diddy's lawyers are saying, for y'all who don't know, basically what's going on is that the feds just took whatever these people said without doing no investigation to prove their claims and use that to get a warrant to search Diddy's mansions.
What are they supposed to use?
That's what they saying. And they said because of that, all the evidence that was seized in those raids should be suppressed because of that.
Well, here's the problem with that is for years, that's how millions of warrants has been issued because of what somebody else has said. 3 or 4 people come and say the same thing and got a warrant for it. A buddy of mine got his recording studio raided because there was a warrant, because the neighbors and everything got a warrant, said that it's drugs and stuff going on. This guy selling drugs. That's what was happening. So they got a warrant because they found in his trash, I guess the neighbor or somebody went through the trash. They didn't get a warrant for the trash. The trash is public property. If you put it out as trash and you put it on the end of your street or whatever, then it's trash. Nah, come on, man. So they found little baggies, little small baggies. The man just smoked weed, you know. That's when weed was illegal. So they went and got a warrant and busted down his door. Had him and his wife on the floor in handcuffs and all this stuff, thinking that he was a kingpin selling drugs. Hey, how did they get that warrant? Long story short, they tried to sue. They ain't got enough money to sue, but a lawyer took their money. Yeah, we got a lawyer now. Dude, you mean you got somebody that's going to take your money because that ain't going to work. So what Puffy and them trying to do right now, the lawyers, that ain't going to work, dog. We got a warrant. They had more than enough information to get the warrant, and they went in there and got the warrant, and they went in there and got some stuff, and guess what? They were right. They was right. So you mean to tell me the information they had was what? Probable cause, and they end up being right with all this stuff? So the evidence, they trying to throw the evidence out because they was right? Get out of here, man. That ain't gonna work. It better not work. I'm telling y'all, man.
They also talk about in this filing about victims 2, 3, and 4. Now, I believe this is the first time we have heard about a 4th victim officially.
Yep. They got another victim. I told y'all that last time. They got a 4th victim in the indictment now. 4th. It started with 1, now it's at 4 in the federal indictment.
So you know Cassie.
Because in the superseding indictment, there were victims 1, 2, and 3. So I think this is kind of interesting. I mean, all they mention about victim 4 here in this filing is, because so much is redacted, they say the warrant applications included allegations that victim 4 and the government made no effort to corroborate victim 4's claims. And the defense says if the government had then, it would have obtained evidence contradicting her account. So don't know if victim 4 is even a part of this case still, but again, really interesting. And then the defense mentions in this filing, designer 1. Now, most of the information about these accounts is redacted, but the defense alleges that the government took the word of these people at face value and didn't really corroborate them before including their testimony in search warrant applications. And we believe, again, not 100% sure, but we believe designer 1 could be connected to one of 3 people. Crystal McKinney, a former model who claims that she attended a dinner with a designer and Sean Combs, after which Combs allegedly forced her to perform oral sex on him. April Lampros, a fashion school student who wanted Combs to be her mentor, but instead claims he sexually assaulted her multiple times.
Wow.
Or Brianna Bana Bongolian, a fashion designer who sued Combs last year for allegedly dangling her off a 17-story balcony when she was apparently staying with Cassie Ventura, and she claims Ventura had to step in to stop it. Now, the defense alleges that the government used the innate fear surrounding crimes like sex trafficking to play up their accusations. Sex trafficking, like child pornography, is so repulsive a crime that those entrusted to root it out may, in their zeal, be tempted to bend or even break the rules. When government investigators cheat to obtain warrants, they endanger the freedom of us all. In cases like this, it is essential that courts enforce the requirements of the Fourth Amendment, both to protect the individual defendant's rights and also to deter this sort of government conduct. And the defense claims that if the prosecutors had included the whole truth in their applications, there wouldn't have been probable cause for a search warrant as required by the Fourth Amendment. The defense states, in its zeal to prosecute a famous target, it rushed ahead and violated the law. It submitted an egregiously false and misleading summary of the evidence, thus denying the neutral and disinterested magistrate the opportunity to independently determine whether probable cause existed based on a fair and truthful summary of the evidence. It presented only inculpatory evidence, and it hid all exculpatory evidence. The warrants themselves were also unconstitutionally broad. The charges here reflect an extraordinary legal theory that Mr. Combs is himself an enterprise, and that his businesses, his household, his personal relationships, and his sex life were all part of a criminal conspiracy. That broad theory is alleged in the indictment and reflected in the warrants. The government essentially took the position that everything about his life is possible evidence of a crime. And the defense then lists some of the items and information obtained as a result of these warrants, and it covers a lot. So the motion to suppress reads, the government sought warrants in this case that gave it the unfettered ability to search Mr. Combs' residences, his digital devices, and his iCloud accounts. The government's list of items to be seized from his houses was pages long, and it is stunning in its breadth. The government claimed the right to seize, among other things, evidence of Mr. Combs' location or anything reflecting the location of any co-conspirator or witness.
I told y'all. Didn't I tell y'all? Y'all niggas ain't want to listen to me, though. You know what he just said?
4 people.
The feds got that nigga location to that iCloud shit. I told y'all. I watched that in the Young Dolph case. They showed they can track your location through your cell phone, through the phone towers. Listen to what he just said. Listen to what he just said. So a nigga can't say, oh, I wasn't there. Nigga, they tracking your ass. They can go back and see where you was at through the towers.
Especially if you got that cell phone on you.
That's exactly what they did in the Young Dolph murder case. Go look it up. It's on YouTube. When they pulled all that stuff out in court, man, they showed these dudes. They had tracked these dudes through the cell phone towers, everywhere they went. Through their phones. And he was sitting there in court looking like, damn, I ain't even know they had all this. He was surprised. He didn't even know they had all that stuff on him.
That's why I don't pay to do the crime, baby. Not in today's world.
Long, and it is stunning in its breadth. The government claimed the right to seize, among other things, evidence of Mr. Combs' location or anything reflecting the location of any co-conspirator or witness, which...
Listen. Evidence of his location and other people that was around him. Now, that lets y'all know right now why everybody was mad at Diddy. Feds investigating everybody, find out where all these mofos at.
Yeah.
Try to tell y'all this. Y'all don't want to listen.
Pages long, and it is stunning in its breadth. The government claimed the right to seize, among other things, evidence of Mr. Combs' location or anything reflecting the location of any co-conspirator or witness, which, according to the government, seems to mean anyone who ever worked for Combs or went to a party, utility bills, mail correspondence.
Ben Moore, you a goddamn gonna lie. You said they can place your cell phone anywhere as long as your battery is in. You a goddamn lie, sir. How can they place your cell phone somewhere from years ago, you idiot? They don't have your cell phone, dummy.
Dude, they can place your phone to anywhere as long as your phone battery is in. Well, shit, that's deceiving the purpose then, if that's facts. I'm trying to give Ben the benefit of the doubt. So if they can do that, I mean, why would they do that? The cell phone towers, the cell phone people, so they're going, Damn, I'm thinking, man. I'm thinking on that. Let me marinate on that one.
Damn lie, sir. How can they place your cell phone somewhere from years ago, you idiot? They don't have your cell phone, dummy. You got your cell phone, idiot. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna go back in the flight logs, you damn fool, and see what private jets you took and show that your phone links up with the travel that's on the logs. Get your ass out my channel, you ignorant, and you a damn fool. Goodbye. You blocked forever.
Damn.
Address books, all calendars or scheduling information, including travel records, all financial records, including bank statements and credit card statements, plus all cash, property deeds or titles or anything related to property ownership, plus any evidence relating to online financial accounts, any sex toys, sexually suggestive clothing, whatever that means, plus any medical supplies or other materials possibly related to sex, plus any bodily fluid or other material.
Did y'all hear that? Listen to what he said again, y'all.
Talk to me.
Listen to what he said.
Scheduling information, including travel records, all financial records, including bank statements and credit card statements, plus all cash, property deeds, or title.
Didn't I tell y'all that? They was gonna get all them bank statements, subtract them payments and shit. I told y'all. What they do is that everybody that's snitching on you, they got to give up the whole operation. How it went down, how they made the transfers, who went and got the money, how much money they were depositing, how much money they were taking out, what bank they was using, what card they was using, what day they were going. And then all they do is to corroborate your story. They match up the account records to your story to see if you telling the truth. That's what they do. I'm telling y'all this. Y'all is a bunch of damn fools. People running around here, man, shut up. You niggas gonna get embarrassed when they go to court. And y'all gonna be on here moving the goalposts again, looking like a damn fool.
Or anything related to property ownership, plus any evidence relating to online financial accounts, any sex toys, sexually suggestive clothing.
If they can track your cell phone where you at, and long as the battery's in it, they can say the cell phone was somewhere else instead of where it was supposed to be. Why would they do that and mess up their reputation? For what? A Diddy? What kind of money do you need to give these people to make them do that? Are you serious? Diddy don't have all the money in the world now. Come on now. I'm trying to figure this whole... That's been sitting on my mind for a minute. I mean, anything is possible. Anything is possible. But come on, man. What's the likelihood of that happening?
Whatever that means, plus any medical supplies or other materials possibly related to sex, plus any bodily fluid or other material that might contain DNA evidence, any communication or record of communication with any former sexual partner or employee of the Combs business, plus any communication related to the charged offenses, which was, as noted, defined incredibly broadly with any possible victim, co-conspirators, or witnesses, corporate records, including corporate organizational and ownership documents and employment records, any digital device that might contain evidence, including iPhones, computers, iPads, and cameras. That's very broad. Now, as part of its argument, the defense cites the case of United States v. Way, which addresses the concept of broad warrants. Quote, at bottom, the warrants in Way violated the Fourth Amendment because they authorized the seizure of sweeping categories of materials and lacked any practical tool to guide the searching agents in distinguishing meaningfully between materials of potential evidentiary value and those obviously devoid of it. The same is true here. Indeed, the warrants here are even more infirm. Whereas the warrants in Way authorize unbounded searches of the defendant's business affairs, the warrants here authorize unbounded search of Mr. Combs' business and personal affairs. The warrants here allowed the very sort of general exploratory rummaging in a person's belongings that the Fourth Amendment forbids. Nor can the government evade the Fourth Amendment's limits simply by stating that Mr. Combs was himself a sort of criminal racketeering enterprise, and therefore all evidence of his business and personal life was relevant evidence of a crime. If such a rhetorical trick were allowed, the Fourth Amendment would lose all meaning. And they even reference a case from England way back in the late 1600s that said, Lord Chief Justice Holt once famously challenged a prosecutor, "Hold, what are you doing now? Are you going to arraign his whole life?" And the defense argues that is exactly what the government did here. It charged Mr. Combs' whole life as a racketeering enterprise, and then it obtained warrants to search his whole life. The iCloud warrant, the warrants to search his houses, the cell phone warrants, and the...
I'm telling y'all, people don't have no brains. Everything you do, come tell y'all something. People don't live under the old school rules no more, where you didn't talk on phones. You didn't really, you know what I'm saying? In the old school, you can go a whole week without your phone. You can live, bro, now, in the era we live in, everybody in this room can't live 3 days without their cell phone. They'll lose their mind. If you didn't have your cell phone for 3 days, people will lose their mind. Their whole life is in their cell phone. Think about that. Ticket, what you mean? All your contacts, your social media, your private messages, your pictures, your videos. Think about this. How many of y'all got phones and your phone know exactly who you are? What am I saying? It know exactly what you like to look at.
Mm-hmm.
They changed all this stuff and called it an algorithm. Why? Because they pushed up to you that they see that you like to watch. That means they monitoring you. Think about that. They can track you, see what you looking at online, all these things. Try to tell y'all that, man, but cats don't know this.
Yeah.
You put in passcodes, you think, yeah, man, I got a secret passcode. Somebody else, well, I ain't gonna say somebody else, but the system got your passcode. Think about that. Think about what I'm saying. Think about what I'm saying. If you get up today, take your phone and go somewhere else, it's going to track where you at, and it's going to have the location on your phone.
And it's going to try to show you all the things you like.
Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you how gangster they got with it. On iPhones, your phone don't even got to be on. They can find your phone. Phone finder. Like, damn. It's a notice that come on the bottom of your iPhone.
Find my device.
It say, when your battery's dead, phone is still what? Traceable.
Damn, that's crazy.
Think about that. The battery dead, but they can still track your phone. How?
It's a CMOS battery.
It's almost like everything's a computer.
Yeah. That CMOS battery is a little like a capacitor. Uncle Mike had 4 years of electronics, and I did IT work for the Navy Yard. I'm an IT man. So anyway, the battery charges up and also charges up the capacitor, which is like a CMOS battery, a little like a watch battery, so to speak, real small in your cell phone, right? But your main battery powers everything up and charges that little battery. It charges that little ass battery. So if your cell phone is 100% out of charge, that battery is starting off at full charge. And that CMOS battery, I don't know, it probably can last a year before it dies. Think about that. Yeah, think about that. Let me take a break. Gotta go to the bathroom, man. Pause. Resume. God damn, it's cold out there, man. It's 22s out there, baby. Here we go, y'all.
Trying to tell y'all this. So that's why y'all seeing the things that y'all seeing the way this stuff is going right now. I'm telling y'all that. I know people don't like to hear what I'm saying, but it's the best damn truth that's going on YouTube out here. And I'm just going to keep it real like I always do. I'm going to keep it real like I always. I told y'all what it was. Right? So that's just what it is. Straight up.
Straight up. That's what it is.
Right? So, most deaf, y'all. Hopefully, everybody gonna see what it is. Now, they did a follow-up. Check this out, y'all. They did what you call a follow-up, right? Now, in that follow-up, right? In that follow-up, tell y'all something. In that follow-up, what they did was they told, or they basically came back and reported on the response right, of the feds and the government to those claims over the witness stuff. So they came back with a clapback.
We do not know the names of any of these witnesses, any of the names of these alleged victims. We have ideas about who these people might be, but we don't know for sure. We don't know specifics. We also don't know the specifics regarding certain alleged incidents, dates, times, locations. This is not surprising. This is common kind of federal cases, particularly federal sex crimes cases, but we don't have a lot of information. And we don't even really know the full extent of what all the digital evidence is, right, in this case. And it seems, based on the defense's recent arguments, they have questions they need answered too. Again, I'm laying out everything to give you the context before we dig into this latest letter, or one of these latest letters from the government. So, back in October, Combs' attorneys, they filed a letter requesting the court, they have to know who these people are in order to properly prepare for trial. And what they asked for specifically was a bill of particulars. Now, we've talked about this on previous episodes of Sidebar before, but basically, a bill of particulars is a written statement outlining more details about a charge or charges that a defendant is facing. We see this come up a lot in terms of a criminal defendant's rights under the Sixth Amendment, namely to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation. Hey, everybody, we have another long crime legal alert. The Los Angeles wildfires, now they're here for you and the families affected. It can encompass a lot of different alleged criminal activity and underlying acts. So there is perhaps a need to particularize that charge more so than in other cases. You need specificity about what is being charged, what is being alleged, again, in order to properly defend myself, right, if I'm a criminal defendant. And in their October letter, Combs' defense laid out several reasons for why they say they need particularity, why they need a bill of particulars. First, they write, without clarity from the government, Mr. Combs has no way of knowing which allegations the government is relying on for purposes of the indictment. And they really emphasize that since Combs is facing accusations of sexual misconduct and wrongdoing in a number of civil lawsuits, so separate from the criminal case, civil lawsuits. Many people have come out and sued him, and by the way, many of which...
Now, he's trying to say that those lawsuits that people was coming out with Diddy had basically, muddied the waters on everything. That's what they're trying to say. That's why Diddy's lawyers like, oh man, these people coming out with these lawsuits is gonna mess it. He ain't gonna be able to get he's never going to be able to get a fair trial. That's what they try to say because of those lawsuits and all those allegations.
Sidebar. They argue that the government is basically forcing Sean Combs and his attorneys to play a guessing game about which allegations he's actually going to be forced to defend in the criminal case. We don't know. Second, his defense team argued, quote, given the anticipated amount of discovery and the expected time required for its production, Mr. Combs will be unable to adduce the identities of the purported victims from the discovery without the assistance of the government. Mr. Combs also anticipates that the discovery will contain voluminous evidence of consensual sexual activity, making it all the more difficult for Mr. Combs to ascertain which of his prior sexual partners now claim years later that they felt coerced. Even if it were possible to ascertain the victim's identity from the discovery, and especially given the volume of anticipated discovery, it's unfair to require Mr. Combs to spend significant time trying to unearth the alleged victims' identities. Again, goes back to the larger narrative. How on earth do we know exactly what the prosecution is arguing, what evidence they're going to introduce, which claims they're going to be focusing on, which alleged victims they're going to be focusing on? How is Sean Combs going to be properly able to defend himself if he doesn't know the specifics of this, right? Third, Combs' defense team highlighted the concern that was raised about him getting a fair trial, given all the publicity regarding those civil lawsuits that I mentioned. But more specifically, they argue that the plaintiffs in those cases and their attorneys, they're not restricted in statements they can make to the press and in the media in connection with those lawsuits, but Sean Combs is restricted from doing so. He's restricted from how he can publicly respond, because if any of that alleged misconduct in the civil lawsuits is actually also a part of the criminal case, and Combs and his team talk about it to the press, they could be in violation of a criminal rule that specifically warns attorneys and defendants to not make statements or release information that could be prejudicial or interfere with a fair trial. So Combs is basically arguing, I can't even defend myself in these civil cases because I might mistakenly say something about these civil cases that might be also included in the criminal case. This isn't fair. So big picture here, Sean Combs is like, I need to know more about what the government is alleging here. Okay. Now, the government responded back in October, and we're going to get to that a little bit later because it is connected to how the government just responded only a few days ago. But before we get to that, I have to tell you that just last week, the defense submitted another letter, and now they're saying they want witnesses' names as well. writing, "The government has produced over 20 terabytes of information, and it is impossible to do a proper defense investigation as to the allegations in the Enterprise letter in less than 2 months without the names of the individuals, both alleged victims and potential witnesses who are listed in the Enterprise letter." Now, that Enterprise letter is very, very important. We were waiting for that.
I told y'all that. Nobody knew that Enterprise letter had already came to Diddy's hands. Nobody knew. But y'all finna find out about this, and it's on y'all screen. Diddy's lawyers say they got the letter. And that is of all the people who are being charged with Diddy in the RICO. They haven't released the names to the public, but Diddy got the list, and Diddy is upset because he's saying that some of these names are anonymous on the list still. And that the government said they're going to produce it on the 21st of March. And he's saying, well, they ain't even going to give me enough time to have a defense.
We're preparing to do a full sidebar episode on that Enterprise letter, because an Enterprise letter is filed by the government in RICO cases that more specifically lays out the exact allegations in the racketeering criminal enterprise charge, what evidence the government seeks to introduce to prove that, the specific underlying acts or events that make up that racketeering conspiracy charge. So we were prepared to do it. Unfortunately, we never saw it. Why? Because it appears that the letter was filed under seal based on the court docket. In other words, we, the public, can't see it. It's for the prosecution and the defense to know. That is probably for privacy, safety, and integrity of the judicial proceedings reasons, right? This was probably to ensure that details about the alleged crimes and potential alleged victims and witnesses' identities, they are all not revealed before trial, because that could potentially...
Which means some people that y'all might not be hearing from, or some people that's walking around here, or that you might not have seen for a while, and so, or some people that's walking around here acting like they don't know nothing, they may have already cooperated, but you don't know. But they didn't release the names to the public yet. They released it privately to Diddy, and then some of them were anonymous, if I'm not mistaken. But that's because they don't want something to happen to one of these people that may have snitched. So. You know, they did it under seal. They released that under seal, period.
Negatively affect the case in some way. But in their letter from last week, the defense wrote the court respectfully, we seek a ruling from the court on our motion for a bill of particulars related to the alleged victims' names and also to the anonymized witnesses in the Enterprise letter. So
Hey, Lisa, you said you're sitting on the toilet with your phone right now. All I got to say is don't fart. Don't pass gas, girl. Hold that in.
In other words, the defense, yes, they have more details about the racketeering charge and what the prosecution plans to do in trial, but they argue nonetheless, we still need to know who these alleged victims and witnesses are. So now...
You probably just passed gas right now laughing, Lisa. You nasty, girl.
Now comes the prosecution's response, and that's what we want to get into. So in this letter that is dated February 21st, 2025, the government writes in response to the defendant's letter asking the court to rule on its motion for a bill of particulars, originally filed on October 15th, 2024. The government continues to oppose the motion, which was originally styled as a request for a bill of particulars identifying victims and has now been apparently broadened to encompass not only victim names, but also the names of a large number of potential government witnesses. The defendant provides no persuasive basis for his request, which in any event will be fully satisfied when the government provides the information on the schedule already set by the court, and the request should accordingly be denied. They go on to write, for the reasons set forth in detail in the government's October 30th, 2024 opposition to the motion, premature identification of victims and witnesses carries significant risk in a case like this one, which involves numerous allegations of violence, coercion, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering. So, what did the government, the prosecution, argue in their opposition back in October? What were the risks? First of all, as the prosecution wrote in October, quote, courts routinely reject requests for victim identities in cases involving crimes of violence and racketeering, especially when the government demonstrates a risk to witness safety, the potential for witness intimidation or subornation of perjury. And here, the prosecution argued there is, quote, serious, well-supported allegations of prior attempts to obstruct and tamper with witnesses, basically on the part of Sean Combs. In fact, they cited the ruling from a prior judge who denied Sean Combs bail, writing, quote, having found by clear and convincing evidence at the conclusion of the second hearing, the defendant...
Everybody keeps saying, oh, there ain't no evidence. Man, the judge seen evidence. I told y'all this. Y'all don't want to listen to me, though. Y'all listen to these damn fools running around here. And that's the problem. The judge said right there in the court, he said, all the evidence I seen, ain't no way in hell I'm giving you bail. That's what the judge said.
is a danger regarding obstruction of justice and witness tampering, and is a danger to the safety of others in the community more generally. And we all recall prosecutors have alleged that Combs tried to improperly contact witnesses while in federal lockup in the MDC, the Metropolitan.
T-Rex, you said, do I know what the hell I'm talking about? You goddamn right, because everything, excuse me, Lord, you right, because everything I said don't came to pass, you damn fool. That's why I got all these people listening to me.
Do you truly, really believe that you know what the hell it is that you're talking about? There's some trolls in this house. If you see them, point them out. That's just a troll, that's all.
Other niggas get mad talking about, hey man, they block them out. No, they don't want to hear that bullshit. They know you're lying and they know you're capping. People rather hear the truth, nigga. Point blank, period. The truth gonna set you free.
T-Rex.
And it's gonna keep you free. And it's gonna keep bums like you, T-Rex, over here. You understand what I'm saying? Now stand in truth, brother, and don't stand in no lies, period, brother. You'll be all right.
You'll be all right. Yeah. That's
the detention
crazy.
center where he's been since his arrest and indictment in September of last year. And as reported by outlets like NBC, there was also the allegation that Combs tried to influence the account of a potential witness in the civil case of Dawn Richard, a former musician in a Sean Combs created band that has since sued the rapper for sexual misconduct. So the government wrote in its October opposition, due to the defendant's history, the government has serious concerns about victim safety and the possibility of witness tampering if a list of victims' names were provided to the defendant. And that seems to be echoed once again by prosecutors in this most recent letter to the court. By the way, in this new letter from the prosecution, they also cite the infamous case of R. Kelly in support of their argument. Remember when R. Kelly was convicted in New York federal court of his own racketeering case for the sexual exploitation of children, forced labor, and transporting women and girls to engage in illegal sex acts? Well, the prosecutors in Sean Combs' case, they're telling this judge, Judge 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦, who's overseeing Sean Combs' case, they say, look what happened in R. Kelly. In R. Kelly, the court rejected his request for a bill of particulars identifying the victims' identities because of his own history of obstructing, intimidation, and witness tampering. Essentially, they're saying the same thing is happening here. Okay, so now let's go back to this recent letter from the prosecutors, from the government, from February 21st, this letter to the court. And again, this is where the prosecution argues that the defense is not entitled to a bill of particulars identifying victims and identifying witnesses. So after citing how identifying these people carries a risk, the government then writes in its letter, quote, moreover, since filing the motion, the defendant has received substantial additional disclosures, including terabytes of Rule 16 discovery, which provide him with more than sufficient information to prepare for trial. Most relevant to the incident request on February 1st, 2025, the government provided the defendant with a 16-page enterprise letter outlining in detail the racketeering activity and related conduct that the government currently expects to prove at trial in connection.
So they say that the co-conspirators list and the enterprise list that basically named all the co-conspirators, named exactly what they said Diddy did and all this other stuff. They said it was 16 pages long and they already sent it to Diddy. That's what they said. They said they sent it to him on February the 1st.
With the charged racketeering conspiracy offense. The enterprise letter described these acts in detail, including their approximate dates and the people involved, noting, for example, their titles at the defense.
So they said they gave Diddy approximate dates, people that was involved, all of these different things they said that they've already gave Diddy. I told y'all, man, y'all listen to the cap if y'all want to. Y'all wonder why the black lawyer quit. The black lawyer wasn't a damn fool. He got it. When he seen that shit, he got the hell up out of there. He said, ain't no way in hell y'all gonna have me stand on this type of shit.
The enterprise letter described these acts in detail, including their approximate dates and the people involved, noting, for example, their titles at the defendant's company or providing other identifying features. In short, these additional disclosures undermine any claim by the defendant that he is not aware of the nature of the charge pending against him or is unable to adequately prepare for trial. So that's the prosecution kind of responding to a Sixth Amendment violation argument that I mentioned before. Now, again, we've talked about the enterprise letter. I mentioned it before, but basically prosecutors are like, Sean Combs, you got enough information right now to properly prepare a defense at trial. There's also a footnote in this letter that reads, as previously communicated to the defendant, the government will supplement the enterprise letter in the event that additional incidents are identified or if the government obtains additional material information about the conduct described. So that's kind of in the spirit of an ongoing investigation. This racketeering case could enlarge him. But they continue, instead, the defendant's renewed request for a bill of particulars is merely an attempt to relitigate the pretrial schedule to get even earlier disclosure of victim and witness information. But his assertion, meaning Sean Combs' assertion, that such information would be useful is no basis to grant his request. Let's talk.
So they try to hold Diddy off as long as they can from him finding out who was witnessing against him.
Who's who, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's keep them
That's
safe.
what they're trying to do. Trying to hold off as long as they can, y'all.
Yeah. And that way.
That's what they're trying to do, y'all.
He can't.
That's what's going on.
Sick his boys after him. Yeah, so he can't.
Y'all definitely got to let me know what y'all feel about that, man. Like, share, subscribe, man. It's going down. Try to tell y'all this. Y'all ain't got to listen to me, but you better. Better listen to me.
Yeah.
Best damn thing going around here. I told y'all that. The best there is, the best there ever was, the best there ever will be, baby. Believe that.
Believe that. I can't wait. I cannot wait until this whole thing is over with. I cannot wait.
All right, you guys, so we appreciate it.
I can't wait to see who was right, who did the best research. It's like I'm waiting to see all the YouTubers and all the stuff that we've been putting together. See if my conclusion's been the same. You know what I'm saying? What I feel as though is right. Like I believe that a lot of people are slowly but surely coming forward. The more he stay in jail, the closer we get to the trial, more people gonna come out. And oh man, if it happens this way, I'm not saying if Diddy is 100% in jail, period, sentence 10 years, whatever, more people gonna come out. You know, the better this trial goes in against Diddy, more people gonna come out. More people gonna come out. Once they see Cassie on the stand and the YouTubers start promoting that, oh, Cassie done tore him up and that the defense is running and puffy lawyers don't know what to do, more people gonna come out. More people gonna come out. Then all of a sudden, the lawyer done quit, and they said, now we see why he quit, because he knew that they couldn't win. More people gonna come out. More people gonna come out. Then all of a sudden, Puffy mother is back in town, and the kid done got locked up. Yeah, more people gonna come out. More people gonna come out. Then all of a sudden, oh man, I can't believe his son done already that little girl on that boat and stuff. And then he in jail with no bail. More people gonna come out. More people gonna come out. Look here, man. I'ma get on up out of here. Hey, y'all take it light, take it slow. Y'all tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out. Be good and help somebody, man. Take care. Help people.